Week time.
I need that real bad.
You know what's killing me with this nigga? It's his sound effects.
What up, people? What's the deal, man? We are back. What is this, episode 117?
116, right?
117.
117.
Yeah, man. That's what's up. Glad y'all back, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. This your boy, Big Ruck.
Brother Los.
Yup.
Brother Yap.
Brother Jam.
It's the Daily Smoke, man.
Yes,
we are here.
Yes, we are.
Sir, what's up, man? Everybody good?
Yes,
I'm
sir.
here, though.
Okay, wait. Okay. So, Ron. So, what was you talking to Los about again?
What time? You know what I'm saying? Which time? Which, you know what I mean? Where you want me to go?
Let's talk about the probe to the sun. Let's
So, Los, we have these sessions. He's like my therapist and everything, right? So Los, me and Los was talking. I was like, Los, man, you know, Los always trying to learn new stuff. Los said, man, I say, Los, man, they sent a satellite or something to the sun, and they wanted, I guess, measure how hot the sun was and the thermonuclear reactions that happen ever so many seconds or whatever on the sun. And they sent the satellite there, and they said this article that the satellite went through the sun, went through it.
Nope.
And so they was talking in terms of like the technology was developed to the point where inside of the satellite, the temperature didn't get above 70 something degrees or whatever.
Right.
We're going through the sun.
Right.
So they was trying to say, if you could survive the trip, a person could have been inside the satellite and the temperature not get higher than 70 degrees. I thought that was pretty amazing.
Right.
Los had an objection to that.
No.
Hey, Los, what was your objection, brother?
No.
That don't seem possible, but
If that shit comes from here, and we can melt that shit with what little bit as hot as we can get, we're not sending shit through that motherfucker. It's gonna just melt right before it gets there. There's just no way. The fuck? We can melt it, and that's the sun. And what? If we ain't got that kind of power, man. Fuck
We had
that.
to melt it to get it into the shape to
We
be
had
able
to
send it to
get
the
some
sun.
from Earth, melt it, build the shit. Okay, well, that shit can burn that. The sun can melt that shit
that
quick.
is absolutely beautiful logic.
You know what I'm saying? Because if it's from this planet,
Yes, man.
it can't withstand that. So,
Right.
like I said, if the ball was going towards the sun, that motherfucker would start sweating red lava, and the closer we get, it just and melt down to nothing. You know what I'm saying?
That's funny
Oh,
to
Jesus
me.
And as soon as it melts, you know, I
That
guess
is
it'll
funny
melt. You know
to
what? I
me.
just thought about that.
Oh.
After it melts, all we would be, Earth would be left just a bunch of little poles floating around. It would turn into metal right away. So it'd be a little pole floating all over the place.
Bunch of little magnets floating in space.
There's Earth.
So you don't think we went through the sun?
There's
though?
no fucking way we went through the sun.
through
Not from
the sun,
shit.
man.
Not with shit from here.
You don't
But
believe
see,
that?
Not
it
with
didn't
shit from
actually
here.
go through the sun. What it did is it got as close to the sun as we've ever gotten. But it like was in the outer layers of the, you know how the sun has like
12
its
million
core and then
miles away.
I think the outer part
That's
is
how
what,
the
the
outer
corona or
part.
something like that.
Yeah.
And so we made it
12
to like the
million miles from
outside
the sun.
edge of that, essentially, or
Okay,
something
get
like
close
that.
to the
I
sun.
don't remember
That's
the exact.
possible, I guess.
Right, and
All right.
that's the
See,
point.
when you said go through the sun,
If
I
it's
was
through
like,
it,
nigga,
oh,
I'm with you.
hell
There
to
ain't
the
no,
no.
hey, come on,
You know,
dog.
and even that, what he said, was
Yeah.
like 12 million miles away from that shit. Okay, that's still a long way.
Right, but
You
that's
know,
as close as we
You
could
know,
get.
okay, so
Right.
that's about right there. We can get that hot. A little bit hotter is when we start melting shit, and then a little bit hotter. But no, come
Yeah,
on, man, you're that
yeah.
close to that thing.
But
Oh, no.
essentially, I think if I remember from what I understood about that story, I think what it was is that like basically like that if a person had been inside,
Right.
like you would have been able to possibly actually set eyes on the sun that
from
close
being that close.
So like
and
that
come back with burnt eyes.
right? But I still get what you're saying. I would have that would be
They
amazing.
probably gonna give them space shades.
You
dog.
know,
Space
go.
shades.
Space shades. You know, that's what Ron training for.
Right. Yes.
Right?
The first thing on the sun. I'll lighten up in a minute. I'll lighten up.
You're gonna come back looking like me.
Test them out.
You know? I'll lighten up in a
He
minute.
gonna test them out. Shit. No,
So you don't believe in black holes either, huh?
No, I don't know. That's just until we see one and go through it, then we'll know what's up. Until then, you're making that shit up. So hey, that's how it happens. That has happens. If I get there and some other shit happen, you hope I don't come back, cause I'm gonna prove you all wrong. You know, shit. Einstein get that shit because he said, man, these niggas don't know what the fuck.
What's
I'm
up, brother
about.
Burley? What's happening with you, man?
What's up, man? Yeah.
Lord
Talking about
have
getting
mercy.
fucked up
Man.
by the sun.
Los is on one
The
tonight.
Los
boy.
theory of thinking.
Yeah, man. It's the Los hour.
The Los
Amen.
theory of thinking. This is how I
Los
think.
does this
Like what?
every
You
night.
put something through the fucking sun from this planet?
Right.
Because we can melt anything on this bitch. That motherfucker can melt everything.
Because if you
Get
move
close
the,
enough.
if you move the Earth too close to the sun,
Get close enough.
Right.
the whole planet.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I tell you, man.
Oh
Shit.
Jesus
Los will
Christ!
give you one, man. I'm telling you. Like,
Fuck that.
he got a theory, man. It's called the fag hand. He has a long story about it, and it's about Bobby. It's called the fag hand. Should I tell you about it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't remember,
Okay.
man.
I do.
I don't remember. What was my theory?
Hey, man, why you mess with Bobby? You know, I say,
You
one
started
day,
it.
So, no, I didn't.
You asked him about it.
I
That's
didn't
where
start
I
it.
get my story
No
from,
lows.
man.
No lows.
You asked
started
him about
it.
the
Just
hand.
tell
Los.
the story, dog.
So,
just tell the story.
one day when y'all wasn't here, it was me, Bobby, and Los. So, now I'm sorry for anybody I may offend in this. I mean no intentional harm. I'm just giving you a conversation. I'm sitting back here, and Bobby was explaining something to me and Los. And while Bobby was talking, Bobby had his left hand like this while he was talking.
You gonna get us
And he
cancer.
was into, you gonna get us
I ain't
cancer.
talking.
So
I ain't talking.
his hand was like this. So I'm looking at, I take my shades off, and I'm looking like, Bobby, why you hold your hand like that? So he go, oh, it's just comfortable, you know, like this. I say, Bobby, that's kind of gay. Don't do that. And so he said, oh, it's just comfortable like this. I say, Bobby, don't do that.
I ain't say it
And
was
so,
comfortable, just I ain't say it was comfortable.
what was it, Bobby?
It's just natural motion, just
Even worse. So better be quiet. So hey man, so this dude, hey, I say man, don't do that, man. That's not cool. That's gay, man. Don't do that.
Right.
Women do that.
Okay.
And so Los go, was that the hand that he broke? He was like, no, I broke this one. Don't do that, Bobby. So a couple of days later, me and Los, we talking on the phone and everything. What is you comparing to? The
Can't remember. You have to remember.
whatever he compared himself to. He say whatever it was. We was talking about Captain Caveman. And you know I got Captain Caveman and his son.
Right.
He say, Ron, Los gonna be like Captain Caveman, but instead of he just be walking around big ball of hair. But instead of him going like this, his hand gonna be like that.
No. It was the Aqua Tees.
Yes, I can yes.
It was the Aqua Tees.
I already know this going to be funny.
So before we begin, you know the Aqua Tees, right?
Yes,
Right.
Hunger Force.
Bobby was meat
Oh
rock.
my God.
You were milkshake. No, you were milkshake. You were milkshake.
Yes.
And you were Frylock.
Okay.
So, but the main character was meat wad.
Right.
So and I start saying, what was it? It's gonna be like the Aqua Teens. Bobby be just a big big ball of hair, Bobby, or big, no, it was hair wad.
Right.
Hair wad.
It was hair
Instead
wad.
of meat
Hair
wad.
Yeah, it was hair wad. So it was a big old hair wad that would walk around like it does. Hey, what's that? And it would have the hairball and a little hand sticking out of it. the eyes would be moving around the whole time.
That nigga say, you know, Bobby, you know, he ain't hardly got no money, so he, you know, your hand be like this, but it said it'd be like this.
No, but that's what I said. That's what, you know, fag hand, big hand. Fag hand, big hand.
Man, those be killing it, man. Those be killing it. We not, Miss Carter, we love our brother Bobby, man, but he be doing it, man. He did it, not us. We just commenting, that's all.
Right.
We just commenting.
Just making fun.
Man, I'm trying to
I'm
tell
making a
y'all.
cartoon in my head, is what I'm doing. I was the neighbor dude with all the hair and shit. Hey, what's up, fat dude? Yeah, with the change. I'm giving you some booty, man. Come on. I was that dude. I put myself in it as that dude. The dude from the
Well, wait, then who was wrong?
He was not. He wasn't in it.
I wasn't in that episode.
Okay.
I don't remember any more of the people in them three, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't in that episode. But if I was, you know the little green one, you got the big red, the Moonanites.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got the boss and the little one.
Yes.
If you talk to, that's me.
Yes.
That's right there, nigga.
Yes.
That's right there. That's me.
Yes.
That's me right there. That's me. That's me right there. Bro.
Yeah.
I love Aqua Tea, man.
You know how you
What
go? What was it? I go meat what? I get the honey, you see. Hairball, I get no honey, you see. Hairball, I get no honey, you see. Cause I'm a big ball of hair and I something, see.
You killing it.
Yeah.
You killing it, y'all. I'm telling
That
you.
was funny. And like I said, the eyes would be here, then over here. They would move
You
around
see
and
it?
shit.
The nigga say, "Hey, Ron, you know how you always drinking a 40 ounce? He have 40 ounces sticking out his head like Pinhead from Hellraiser."
I remember that. That's right. He had 40s also. Hey, Bobby, you better go, man. Someone's getting you. That's how you run away. All the bottles.
I'm telling y'all, he killing
man.
man
I
from 1 to
remember
3
that shit
a.m. every day. He killing it.
The Los Hour.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of the witching hour, that's the Los
I'm
Hour.
gonna start an audio.
He spares nobody.
You know why, right? Because all the
That
bottles
nigga
sticking out.
spares nobody. That nigga spares nobody.
When I said, he said,
Click,
click, click.
Yes,
That's when he runs away. That's what you hear.
yes, indeed.
I'm resigning from the show.
They gonna blame that on me too. Watch. Just cover y'all. Watch the press release in the morning.
And with 40 ounce.
Alright. Everybody getting on the shit now.
Oh,
And with 40 ounces.
Burley, you funny, man.
remember?
Oh, Jesus
So,
Christ.
and then because the bottles always have a little like beer in there, so you stick them in there, so that's in his hair. So you have little, instead of flies, you got little bees flying around. Little Mickey's bees.
The little hornets.
Yes, man. Yes, man.
They try to get
Yes,
the rest of
man.
that brew in there.
Yes, man. Yes.
Hair wide.
Oh, technical difficulties. Gotta shut the show down.
You don't know how to.
Oh, yes, he do.
All right. Y'all want to change the show today? Y'all want to change the show? We can change what the show talking about. We can change it right now. We can put this later.
I'm gonna start a podcast, an audio podcast called
Yes, sir.
Lost Theory of Thinking.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
Yes,
Just
sir.
come in and I'm gonna look up shit on National Geographic. Like, there's no fucking way.
Yes, sir.
'Cause I got my one on the pyramids.
Yes, sir. Hey,
Those are
man.
some sorry
Wait,
motherfuckers,
okay,
man.
Please share with us.
Can I please introduce this?
Those are some
Oh,
sorry
yes.
motherfuckers.
Be like, yes,
I'm
sir.
gonna say it again. I work for you, man. I'm the little green. You know what I'm
You're the little green one.
Yeah, pink
Talking
green, whatever
shit.
it is now. But that's it. I work for you. Hey, man. Me and Los, again,
They
we are
got green
talking.
on too.
We are talking, trying to be intelligent. So he's like, man, you know what, Los, man? man has always been, interested in space and flying. Always, it's in our psyche. You know what I mean?
Right.
You get the lead up to Los. So I got to tell you this. So he go, yeah. What do you mean, Ron? I said, man, if you look at the pyramids, you can see where like they're sharing experiences of like an astronaut being in space, all that kind of stuff. So a lot of people think technology the Egyptians used came from space people. But I was like, that's a lie. It's just that black people are smart and they don't want to give us credit. Cool, whatever. All right. So, we talking, and I say, man, to this day, like if you saw the pyramids, like way back then when it was built, you could see the pyramid for miles away because it had like this type of alabaster covering material where it would shine. When the sun would hit, it's not there anymore.
Right.
But it would shine.
Didn't it have gold at the tips?
At the tip it does,
yeah.
At the tip it did, rather. Yeah. So that's what they thought about the pyramids, et cetera, man. So I was like, man, humans, I think we're really smart. They just don't want to give the brothers their credit. Then Lo said, you have the floor.
I said, no, that what he's saying is right, actually, because aliens came and helped them. Okay. They came from somewhere we have no fucking clue what's out there. We can't see that far.
Right.
But you came here and helped these monks. So imagine, still today, we wouldn't know where they came from because we can't see that far. As far as we can see, we don't see people or nothing. Okay. So that means you got some serious shit. Okay.
To be able to travel that far.
And you're going to come here and you help these mugs. So if you help these mugs, why did the dude who drew it told the Pharaoh, hey Pharaoh, check it out. That's what it's going to look like, man. That's what the aliens told me and shit, see? But my kids, your kids, their kids, their kids, their kids, their kids are never going to see it finished. Okay? It's going to take me 1,000 years to build it, but an alien helped me that came from where the fuck you came. You can't build this shit for me right here, man? Goddamn! You can probably go to a mountain, get all the dirt, and just build that shit right quick. You gonna let me suffer this long to build this shit? Ain't no fucking way nobody helped them. Maybe you booked. Gave them a chisel. Here you go, this rock chisel. Use that and you'll get the perfect cuts. No one will ever know how you did it, but use this.
Did you guys realize if you made the rocks, rectangles, you could stack them on top of each other?
Right.
Did you realize that?
And they say, man, that's some sorry ass aliens.
Yeah,
they gonna sit up there. They know they can travel all the way from where satellites just now can barely see. They already came from further than that. Because where we see right now is that far.
Right.
So you done came all the way here from that far away, and you gonna give us a chisel to make a damn pyramid? Y'all some sorry ass.
Some sorry ass mother. Glad you left and they never come back.
Man, I'm telling you, man.
So because of that,
because
of that the aliens didn't help these motherfuckers. Those are the world champions of builders. Because their shit is still here.
Right.
We can see that shit, man.
They're the heavyweight champions.
And that afterlife of theirs, where they say, go to the afterlife. They made it to the afterlife. They're just not really alive. We know who they are. So you did live on forever.
Right.
You just weren't alive. We get to see your body. Plus, we get to see the structure of your body, how it looked.
That's heavy.
And all your possessions.
Right.
Yeah, that's heavy.
You lived forever, man.
Right.
You did, because 5,000 years later, we know who the fuck you were.
We know who Tutankhamun is.
Right.
We know who Ramses
Wow,
is.
that's crazy, man.
We know their names and their stories.
Yeah.
And your buildings are still there.
Yeah.
I was like, man, they built that shit a long time ago. We built something back in, in maybe the early 1300s. That shit ain't here no more.
Right.
That shit is gone.
Right. The bodies and everything
Gone.
Everything about the Egyptians was
They were
eternity.
still here, man.
They language, well, not their language, but their culture, their architecture, their bodies, everything was about the hereafter, the afterlife.
Right.
And they made it.
They did.
There's theories that talk about the pyramids was actually energy gatherers. You know how they talk about how Tesla had a system where he could just pull electricity out of the air. You wouldn't have to pay for electricity. The pyramids, they say, when they had their full, like you said, the alabaster covering and the gold tip, and they say that there used to be water inside the pyramids, and it basically turned them into like these giant energy dispersers. So they would just like broadcast electricity for the Egyptians.
That's what's up, man.
So now that I hear this,
Uh-oh.
that means they weren't helped by the aliens.
Nope.
They were the fucking aliens. They just couldn't get back home once they got here. Like, man, we ain't got shit here. They were aliens, man. They weren't helped by the aliens. They were the aliens. Yeah, they were aliens. They were different humans than us. You know what I'm saying? They were the aliens, man.
Now we use some Anunnaki and Elohim stuff, you know.
Yeah, we had that conversation already.
Oh, no.
Yes, we did.
Let's not go down that path.
We had that conversation.
Let's not go.
That's crazy, man. But yeah, that don't make no sense.
I think I'm finna end up ranking on somebody. Just keep talking. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting. I just need to see something for me. I need to see something.
You know what you said? We're Tesla.
Yeah. That's what I was referring to, Burley. Yeah, Tesla. They think got his idea of what he came up with from studying the pyramids.
What is Instagram? What is that? I wonder what is Instagram? Is that the new format?
That's the new Instagram.
That's the way I spelt that shit. That's what it is.
Okay.
But they know what it is. Mm-hmm. They didn't even notice that shit because the mind fucks with you. It sees and you already know what's there without looking at it.
Who they enemy? Instagram.
Instagram. That's funny.
We got Instagrams.
We got Facebook.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Facebook. Yeah,
I'm European and shit, you know. Talk thick. Talk thick.
Talk thick. Talk thick.
Facebook.
Thank y'all for joining us. We had 3 people that just left. We had 10. I guess they don't have a funny bone. No. That's why they walk funny.
They gotta come back.
Hey, watch this shit.
Oh, my bad. You're right. My bad.
That's interesting.
Yeah, man. Shit.
Oh, Jesus.
So what the hell are we supposed to be talking about?
Bobby.
But you know it's love, man.
I'm gonna do a no-look pass. He ain't smiling.
He is smiling.
I'm correcting his Instagram.
Uh-oh. Bobby corrected you.
Fix that shit.
Ain't that how Nelly saw me?
Shit, I got my diplomas.
Yeah, okay. So for all of our Chinese speakers, we about to talk about China. In Cantonese. So yeah, man. But on the cool, man, that was. I think today's official subject was very important, and Jonathan's one that brought it up to say that we should discuss this. Brother Jay, talk to us, man.
It was just, in light of all the stuff that's going on with Russia and Ukraine and all that, you've been hearing a lot of talk about China as far as being an ally to Russia or a potential ally to Russia, because they really haven't signed on, like fully backing the Russian program. They're like, okay, we appreciate what you're doing. We get it in theory. But they haven't actually done anything as far as like actually supporting them or anything like that.
Okay.
But it just made me start to think about the conflict or the sort of pseudo conflict there is between America and China. You hear a lot of times like people will talk about, China's trying to buy America because they owe so much of our debt. Okay. When I looked it up, hold on, because I actually made some notes. When I looked it up, they only own about 3.6% of our debt.
Really?
That's it.
Really?
Yeah, China has. Now they do own more of our debt than any other country.
Okay.
But when you look at the grand scheme of things, like, is there really? My question was, is there really a conflict between us and China, or is this really just kind of like political posturing?
Okay.
Because when I look at the information going on between the two countries and the way that they're working together, the economic situations are fully like integrated. Right. For years, decades. China was our producer. We came up with the intellectual properties and the ideas, and then we had China build it for us. Okay. And for decades our economic systems have been linked in that way. But now it's like there's trying to be this conflict, but then when you look at it, especially like recently there was a video conference that Biden did with the leader from China.
Okay.
It was my old friend, my buddy, my pal. You know, they were talking about spirit of working together and all of this kind of stuff. It's really making me think, is there really a conflict between us and China, or is this just something that they're feeding us because they're doing other stuff behind the scenes?
Okay.
Because really, when you look at it, our economies can't really exist without each other.
Okay.
The way the world is kind of divided between the influence that China is gaining, because a lot of people think of China as a world power, but there's some who argue the point that they're not really a world power yet.
Okay.
Because their economic influence isn't as great as even like some of the smallest countries of the EU. Because the problem with China is even though they do have a lot of money, they also have a lot of debt.
Right.
China is in debt for huge amounts.
Right. Uh-oh.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
shit. No, we're good.
No, it's autocorrect.
Yeah, that was the autocorrect.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm listening, brother. I'm sorry. We're listening.
no, you good. But yeah, what else was I gonna say? Like, okay, so it was, here's what it was. It says, China was America's largest goods trading partner, third largest export market, and largest source of imports. Exports to China supported an estimated 1.2 million jobs in the United States in 2019. Most U.S. companies operating in China report being committed to the China market for the long term. We're in bed with these folks.
Right.
We're making money with them. And you know, if anything, the capitalist system is not going to want anything to mess with the money.
Right.
So what are we really fighting with China about?
Right.
No, they know that they need us as much as we need them. And Burley too, they're investing in Africa a lot too. I've saw some things about that. They're fixing the infrastructure there, but you know, at heavy cost. But at least they're doing it. Shit, if you can pay it. At least your shit is gonna look nice like everybody else's shit now.
Yeah.
You know, but
Don't speak up.
yeah, no, that's yeah, I had read something like that too, where it's, you know, they're economically they're growing, and they're getting more influence and getting the money they need. They still owe that, and you know, America though, you know, hey, if we can't do it, nobody can. We'll take your shit, you know. But Russia can't be doing what they doing. Okay, whatever, man. Fuck y'all.
Man, I saw something where, I have no idea how true this is, but this was like a while back, some years ago, on, hey Jessica, thanks for coming, love.
Good to see you
absolutely,
back, man.
absolutely,
Good to see you back. Thank
absolutely. They was talking about the type of resources, well, actually they're talking about the growth rate of China.
Okay.
And they were saying that China's economy, and in particular their construction industry, is growing so big because of the demand. We needed a whole new earth just to meet their demand for steel.
Wow.
That's if you like to look at exactly how far they're growing, how fast they're growing, and they're building and expanding, et cetera, that we need an entire another planet just to meet their demand for steel. I found that very interesting.
And you wonder why we're trying to mine asteroids.
Right. Good point.
You know what I'm saying?
Good point.
You wonder why we're trying to mine asteroids.
Got to.
Good point.
And if you
Running
think
out
about
of
it,
shit.
it's smart on China's part. They already have a population that has a built-in work ethic, because their society is totalitarian. You know, you teach people from birth, you're a cog in this machine. You're going to go to work, you're going to do what you're supposed to do, you're going to go, you know, we're going to give you enough room to have some fun and have a decent life. Hell, Chinese people travel. The Chinese people travel all over the, you know, they're known to be like international travelers.
Yeah.
So they do get outside of China.
That's true.
You know, one of the things that you can lose in China for their through their social credit system is you can lose your passport. So you lose your ability to travel. That's a
right.
punishment there.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, dang it, I had a point and I now lost it.
To your point, when we was looking at the level of surveillance, I think they're the most highly the level of surveillance of their country is the highest in the world.
Yeah.
And it's so high that you really don't need police officers or anyone to, issue citations because of whatever infractions against the state. Meaning, I don't need a cop sitting at a four-way stop sign to see if everyone stops at the stop sign
Right.
or jaywalks. Their surveillance is so heavily inundated that if you commit any kind of crime like that, you're going to receive something in the mail.
Yeah.
And it counts against your, I guess you would call it what we call street cred, but that social credibility. And if you receive too many infractions, Jonathan is absolutely correct. They'll revoke things like your passport. They'll revoke the number of hours you're allowed for vacation at your job or whatever.
Yeah.
So you're going to obey the rules without someone necessarily having to be there.
Yeah.
I found that very interesting, man.
That is very interesting.
That's very
They
facial
have-
recognition, exactly.
Yeah, they have a
Facial
social
recognition.
credit system there. So imagine like you got, we all have a credit score that judges our financial stability, that kind of thing.
Right.
Well, theirs is expanded to the point to where even your social interaction can actually is rated, is tracked, and that affects your ability to do things in their society.
Yes.
Like you were saying, you can lose certain privileges if your score gets too low.
Yes.
You can be fined as a crime because you're not carrying your weight socially.
Right. Right.
So you take a society that's living like that, you industrialize it.
Right.
You give these people places to live, you make sure they're provided for, they got food. For the most part, you're not hearing about like starvation and stuff like that in China like you used to. They've gotten that shit under control.
Mm-hmm.
And so now they got an army full of worker bees and they're ready to get out on an international market. I think the fear is that China might come out and actually dominate. And people will be like, oh shit, this is working better than...
That was gonna be my question
That's
to you, man.
exactly
What is the fear?
That's what I think it is.
That's exactly what I was looking at, because it actually says the fear factor of this. What's going on with China and how their economy is getting better.
Yeah.
I read something about they graduate so many millions of students every year, and they're all in the technical field.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And the technology shit, and somehow we're not liking that.
Yeah.
It's like we can't have they're trying to go up in technology. For us, we can't have them be better than us in technology because that means they'll have better weapons.
Mm-hmm.
We can't do that.
And
Because their economy keeps growing, it's like they're like afraid that, like what you were saying. Oh shit, this is working over here great. We can't have that either.
Mm-hmm.
So but yeah, it's the fear factors. We know we need each other, but so nuclear shit between us. They're not gonna happen. We
It's
need
not gonna
each other.
happen.
We need each other. So, and then plus, hey, they deal with Russia too. So if we don't want to. That's on us.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just afraid that. What I was gonna say earlier, and I never had heard this before, but what they had in this article that I was reading about how, because they do, they have certain things, so we do certain things. We can't let them get ahead of us in technology. But this, and then when it came to where it says the fear factor, it says what is the root cause driving the current class of civilizations? And the answer is simple as Hillary Clinton's opinional statement. I never knew she said that. She said, I don't want my grandchildren to live in a world dominated by the Chinese. And then from there, they start talking about this Greek dude, Theodotus.
Yeah, that's good enough.
The Theodotus trap, which he said it kind of works in here. This is ancient shit, but he was a Greek historian that was a general. He studied 16 different situations like this where there was a leading power and a growing power.
okay.
And out of the 16, 4 didn't go to war. 12 devastated each other because of that. And only 4. So because of that, they're saying that, you could have peace because, hey, it did work 4 times, but this is what we're in. We're seeing that these mugs are getting better than us, and we don't like that, and it's us that is going to pick on them, and that's what he said what that trap is, because it's the leading power fearing a rising power.
So what you did was you saw So just to show you how important what Lois just said, and I'm literally going by what you just said, literally, and correct me if I'm wrong. Because America has deep roots in not only Rome but ancient Greece, we adopt a lot of habits that those people had back then.
Yeah.
This dude here, man. So we adopt a lot of traditions and customs, being from the West, that the ancient Greeks and Romans had. And this dude lived in the ancient Roman times, right?
He was Greek.
He was Greek. Okay, thank you.
Greek,
so that's right, Theo. So
Greek historian.
The importance of what he's saying is, if we have adopted the mindset of our predecessors, such as Britain, Rome, and Greece. Back in ancient Greece, someone was given 16 markers for here's how the world economy and political ties work. These are 16 behaviors you can look at in terms of whenever there's the person in power and the person coming into power.
Right.
And these are the dynamics by which how they engage each other. So it doesn't matter whether it's Greece, it doesn't matter whether it's China, it doesn't matter whether it's Zimbabwe, it doesn't matter. Like if you look at in terms of how rising nations versus nations in power interact with each other, there are 12 more situations that encourage war than the 4 situations that say they can coexist peacefully.
Right.
I found that to be very interesting.
One of those 12 was the Spartans and the Greeks.
Case in point.
That's where he started at the
Case in point,
Peloponnesian Wars. He saw that because I guess the established power was Greece. And the Spartans were rising, and they didn't like that, and that ended up the Peloponnesian War. They devastated each other over that shit,
right?
And it just, but yeah, they say a few things about that, and then the dude ends it with, he said, but is war with China inevitable? He said, well, that's when he says no. 12 to 16 cases in Graham Allison's book ended with devastating wars, but 4 cases did not. Thus, the odds are steep, but peace is possible. So, how do we achieve that?
Absolutely.
So how do we do that with this nation? Because we know we need each other.
Absolutely.
Nuclear shit. Come on now. We're not gonna blow the whole fucking world up. We're not gonna do that. Because it's silly. We should just put that shit away. But without it, then we still got tanks and shit. So, but yeah, that's our risk. So let's.
Which they got a whole lot more tanks than we do.
Yeah.
Who?
But them
China.
No, they don't.
No, they have a lot more tanks than we do.
Oh, maybe tanks specifically.
There's certain things in the military that they have more than we have, but overall we have more, and they have way more manpower.
They got a million-man army. We got 300,000. What's our army?
I don't know the person.
400,000 soldiers, I think.
Let's see.
I mean, or 250. So 250 against
one of the things that I saw interesting about that, Danny, about them trying to take Taiwan back, is
coming.
like we would literally have to send planes hundreds of miles in order to be able to defend Taiwan. They said the closest base we have where they could take off from would be like a couple of 100 miles away, and so but the Chinese now have weapons where they wouldn't even have to leave their coast. They can literally stay on mainland China and attack.
That's a lie. What they have around the border of China is a defense thing that we don't like either. ADA something is what they call it. It's a defense mechanism. It's not for war. It's for defense. It's for defense of China's coastline. What they call that shit. I saw it in here somewhere. Some type
Burley is absolutely correct. That's why I was sitting here smiling just now. You're absolutely correct. I want y'all to know something about where you live.
Right.
This country is not first place by accident.
Right.
We do not have the kind of ties and the international relations that we have that primarily benefit us in most points by accident. Right. Most of the countries on the planet, they don't mind standing up to us. But if you ask them, would you be ready to go to war with America? They're not trying to deal with that.
Oh, yeah.
We are not here. I want y'all to listen to me. We're not here by accident. And when I spoke with an individual that is in the military and had a lot of information that they shared with me on the condition of anonymity, I didn't know that we were so close to China.
Right.
And when I looked at everything on YouTube or what have you to find out hey, what are the problems with a military incursion between China? That's what he just said exactly. What are the military situations where if we have an incursion with China in warfare, how does that play out? And everybody said we have bases in Taiwan, we have a base in Okinawa. That would be the jump off point for us before we have to start using Guam. I'm here to tell you.
We get there quick.
I'm here to tell you, we are closer than you know. We're not there by accident.
Right.
Everyone fears us for a very specific reason, which means so from that point, I went to just go look up the public knowledge. How strong is the American military? Oh my God.
We control the seas.
Oh my God.
You can go
What is it?
You're in Rome.
That's right.
Our
you got
military
to
is larger
understand that.
than what, like the next 10 countries or something like that. Is it combined? Like if you added up the next 10 countries in line behind us, our army is still bigger than that.
Right.
Yep. But we only have 250,000 men. They got 1 million.
We're not fault like is it fault
Because
like that
that's what I'm
anymore.
saying. Because I'm saying if it was came down to like man fight,
If it
man,
came
we
down
done.
to a ground fight,
we done.
They damn near got double what we have.
Yeah.
In
More than
personnel,
double. More than
personnel.
double. Yeah, people.
The enlisted personnel.
That would
yeah,
be
but
Their technology is lower.
I mean, even if we sent half of ours to fight that same number, that half is gone. We only got half left. They still got like 10 more halves. Like, you know. But before that, because our military is so great, we would destroy a lot of that shit so they couldn't come at us with that many motherfuckers.
yeah, it that would be a conflict that would probably wind up being a massacre if it ever did happen. Because the American military being what it is right now, you don't want to unleash that really on anybody.
Yeah, but you gotta be careful. They got bombs. They can just say "fuck y'all."
So
So you gotta be careful. Yeah, but if we're trying to go in and act that, we do too. If they fire, we gotta fire, of course. But we can get in there, but you gotta watch just in case that fool don't push that button.
Burley says we could do it with no casualties. I'd be interested to hear your theory on that, Burley. Call in.
Burley know what he's talking about.
Taiwan is.
Burley's in the military.
I
Burley
know.
He knows what he's talking
That's
about.
why I say call in. Call
China
in.
anyways.
He knows
Give it back
exactly
to
what
him.
he's talking about.
Hey, where is the phone, by the way?
Way over there somewhere.
Sure. If ain't nobody using the give us a call, everybody, if y'all like what we're talking about.
Did anybody turn it on?
It's on. It's charging. As far as I know,
Yeah,
it was on.
give us a call.
Started charging. It was at 27%, so it should be more now.
Man, I was in the military. I have nowhere near the degree of insight as maybe Burley and a couple other brothers, man. You know, like Lavelle and other individuals, you know. But what I do know is we have DARPA.
Right.
That is a valid
Dadcast.
point from Lavelle.
That's right.
It said, don't forget about our joint service agreement,
Absolutely.
so our manpower quadruples with allies.
Man, I got scared of our nation's ability to respond to threats the more I learned about DARPA.
Okay.
I was not even exposed to the existence of DARPA until I played a game called Metal Gear. And they started talking about DARPA, and I'm like, what the hell is a DARPA? So, he's unable to call in. Okay, fair enough. So, when I started looking up DARPA, what got my attention was the first fact that they've been around for a very long time. The second thing that caught my attention for DARPA was when you look at the scope of their objectives, they invent things for warfare 20 years from now. I think he's trying to call in. That's true.
Yeah, go ahead and try
It should
now.
work.
It wasn't on at first. It's on now.
You have to do it twice.
Yeah, if you don't get exactly, Bobby, get shot. If you don't get in the first time,
Yeah, just
hang
call.
up and call right back. It'll
Right,
come
right.
through. Thank you so much. When I started looking at DARPA's mission statement, you know how you work somewhere like our mission statement is to provide, et cetera,
Right.
all that kind of stuff. DARPA's mission statement is to predict and prepare for war 20 years from where we are now.
Wow. Okay.
So when they're building weapons, when they're building, when they're utilizing their technology, they're not talking about or thinking about the present threat, however lethal that may be. They're trying to figure out, what does war look like 20 years from now? These are not people. These are not AI. These are not robots. These are people thinking like this. Case in point, DARPA is I told you when you first came on the show about 6-7 months ago, DARPA is the organization that made the machine that could live off of biomatter. So you don't have to plug it into a wall or have to give it its energy source. Whatever it rolls over or consumes, it can consume biological matter to help power itself. Joe Rogan first brought that to everyone's attention, and it's up for private use now. I was like, damn, I know every damn drug dealer in South America got one now. You know what I mean? Like it can eat people and keep going.
Right.
Okay, if that ain't enough, just recently, about maybe a month and a half ago, DARPA also they released the fact that they have developed robots that can replicate.
That's what I was telling you about.
Robots can replicate.
So he said it says disconnected.
Oh no.
Is the number right on there?
I just called it and it went through.
Yeah, he trying to be funny.
That's the numbers, right?
Yeah, should be. 281-858-3107.
I think so, right?
Yeah, try it again, man, because I just called it and it went through.
Right. Try again, cousin. Burley Dan, if y'all trying to get in, call again, brother. We'll take the first call that come through.
Unless I wrote the number wrong on there, too.
Oh, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that, space man.
Right?
That's right now.
Nah,
Yeah,
that's right.
That's it. Yeah, we good. Yeah, we good. Yeah. So, man, that's the stuff that DARPA has released. DARPA is the one that came up with the stealth technology for the bomber and the fighter.
And that was back in the 90s.
That it was practiced in the 90s, but it was developed in the 70s.
Right. That's right.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're a gun enthusiast. Holographic retinal sights were developed during Vietnam, Devin.
Yeah.
Because of DARPA.
Yeah.
You follow me?
Yeah.
So you can only imagine these individuals that are preparing our country for warfare.
Right.
They're not even dealing with things right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're ahead by 20 years.
Yeah.
You know,
My goodness.
Which means our shit is good for now.
You know what I mean?
that always makes me think about those robots. I know y'all have seen those robots, like the robot dogs.
Yes.
That they have, those little four-legged ones, and they have a two-legged version that can like jump and do flips and dance and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
You've seen it?
That's right. That's
So
right.
okay, so that's what's publicly available.
Right.
Right.
You know, we know about
Right.
that.
Right.
So if DARPA's thinking 20
Right.
years in advance, what do they have?
Exactly.
Dog that eats organic material.
With lasers.
It kills first and then eat your ass.
Okay?
Shoot.
Man, yeah. But I'm not saying to say China's a punk. I'm not saying that to say
No.
Russia's a punk. What I am saying is the Ukraine shouldn't be this far along in the war, and the reason they are as far along against a major superpower such as Russia is because of what we're giving them to use.
Right.
That we no longer use.
That's
You
that's
follow what
how
I'm saying?
outdated stuff.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I'm showing you where we at.
I
Wow.
was also seeing like in there, when it comes to fighter jets,
Yes, sir.
they have a nice size armament of fighter jets, but their best fighter jet is considered in like all of the fighter jets as the like B class to what we have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's why they don't want them to be economic power. And
The
learn
invisible uniforms. We've been doing matter of fact,
Oh yeah, I was just.
we've been doing the Predator technology where you just blend in with everything.
Yeah.
Man, we had our tanks ready for that during Desert Storm.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't see the tanks coming forward.
Yeah.
You would see nothing but
Sand.
the sand,
Man,
visually anyway.
Yeah.
That's all you would see. But they're right there.
Yeah.
So we was like, man, when we saw Predator and Predator like, camouflage into his background, we're like, oh shit, that's cool. That must be science fiction.
Right.
No, man, they ready to put those on tanks in Desert Storm.
Yeah.
Right. And,
How far removed are we from Desert Storm
Right.
now?
and Danny says he saw it 10 years ago.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
See what I mean? Just man, we are a beast. But in terms of how we compare against China, man, let me ask you something, Jonathan. You say we're like connected at the hip in many ways regarding like our economies and everything. What is the real threat that's going throughout American society regarding our China's stance in the world? Like, is it military? Is it economics? What is the problem?
That's the thing. It's a little bit of both because when you're looking at the economic system, like we were saying earlier, they may have a high debt to GDP ratio when you look at their economy, but what they're doing is investing in their country.
Okay.
They're building everywhere. They're building infrastructure. They're taking their people basically from being rural farmers, which is what China was for hundreds of years, to being industrialized, working in the cities, and so they're building cities.
Okay.
That's why they're buying. I think somebody mentioned in the chat earlier, they're buying so much concrete from us, and like you said, they're buying so much steel because they're building stuff.
Right.
You know, they're building their infrastructure, they're building roads, and they're trying to. And it so when you look at the way it used to be, American came up with the technology.
Okay.
America came up with the ideas. We had the intellectual properties.
Okay.
Now, and we always went to China for manufacturing. They had the cheap labor. That's why everything's made in China.
Okay.
So then what would happen, now what's happening though is China is taking, you know, I'm sure you probably heard about the, what was it? I think it was under Trump where one of his big things was China stealing our intellectual property.
Yes, he did say that.
Because China was basically, is taking a lot of the ideas of things that we used to basically send them to manufacture and saying, okay, well, we'll just make this for ourselves, you know? And so there's that idea that now they don't need us anymore. They have the technology. They've advanced to the point now to where they could actually become a financial threat in the world markets, because if they start developing their own intellectual property, which is what they're pushing their people to do, then they already have the built-in manufacturing force as well.
Right.
China could really dominate the world.
Wow.
The potential is there. Like you said, there's 12 outcomes where it ends in conflict. There's only 4 where it ends peacefully. So we looking down the barrel of one of them 12, I think.
Wow. I remember looking at something in Google. You know, China has a lot of, you know, heavy surveillance and limitations on their citizens' ability to access certain information through the internet. And Google got some bad press because Google went in and helped China reinforce their digital infrastructure on hackers or whoever to be able to get out of their parameters and find out what else is going on other than what the state is reporting. So Google received a lot of bad press for that. And Google came forth and said in so many words, they was like, look, man, this is the kind of situation we're dealing with out of China. They have the technology and enough people where what they're willing to pay us to do, they will be able to do themselves because they're able, and this is to your point, to mimic and surpass our technology. So we either can take advantage of this point now and go and serve as consultants and contract with them. Hey, look, this is what this is what you need to do regarding the internet. Here's how you stop people from accessing information you don't want, et cetera, et cetera. And it's, you know, being from California, people was, you know, all about Google. They was like saying, hey man, why are you helping to reinforce the suppression of these individuals in a communist state with an autocratic head of state? Like you're working against for what we stand. And Google just had to tell them, either we were going to get paid and do it, or they was going to find a way to do it and steal the ideas from us.
It's about money.
You know?
Yeah.
So you got one or two ways. You're not going to have them both. So from that point of view, I totally understood where Google was coming from.
Right.
I didn't know that China was that much of an intellectual and technological threat to us, man.
Yeah, and
I know.
I think I think that's where the real threat is coming from, because if you, like we've said on previous conversations, you know, technology right now is advancing exponentially.
Yes.
And if you are the controller of that technology, it's like back in the day with the space race. You know, we had to be the first ones. You know, Russia beat us in everything. Well, USSR beat us in everything as far as space. They was first man in space, first this, first that. The only thing we managed to really do first was get to the moon. And that was it. But if it hadn't been for that, imagine where, you know, the American confidence might have gone. Agreed. If Russia had been able to do that first.
Agreed.
You know, and it's that same kind of thing. They came out with 5G first.
Agreed.
They're starting to surpass us in technology.
They came out with 5G first.
They can't have that.
China had 5G first.
A long
Is
time.
that
They
the
had
reason?
5G
They
a
can't
while
have
back.
that. Yeah.
too.
They came out with 5G first.
Yeah, they on like what they're on what was it already? They far ahead of that now.
They're past 5G now.
Yeah,
So is that why they had the highest levels of corona?
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
Just asking a question. I'm just asking a question.
You know what I was saying about China?
Jesus Christ.
Before you ask your question,
That's it.
you know, we talk like it's like, oh wow, China's been around for 5,000 years. China outlasted the Greeks, the Romans, the Byzantines.
Yeah.
They outlasted all of this. Them motherfuckers are doing something right.
Yeah.
Because why did they all fall?
Yeah.
So you can't underestimate these motherfuckers, man. They know what they're doing, you know, and they just want to be. Hey, okay, so we're really not trying to threaten you. We just want to learn too and be part of the world. We're not trying to kill nobody or blow up shit, but we gotta have shit in case you try to come after me, though.
I read an article, man, where they said like Richard Nixon 50 years ago. All of us are almost 50. Richard Nixon 50 years ago went to go visit China. And at that time, he really wasn't taking China serious because most of them were peasant farmers. So they really weren't a threat in terms of what we are believing a threat is today, you know, and we're putting China in that category. My question was, like, when I was looking at that, I said, okay, so Richard Nixon was dealing more with Russia, the USSR, was dealing more with the USSR as a threat, and China wasn't a threat, because they were peasant farmers, predominantly.
Right.
But in the span of 50 years, look at where China is now. Yeah. Let's consider everything we said in terms of their construction, their technological development, their level of surveillance, their military might, the strength of their economy, the debt of their economy. When you look at all of that, you're like, you did that in 50 years? So 50 years from now,
where you gonna be?
What does that look like? Right. You know? I found that very interesting, man. That's why I wanted to bring that to you. Jonathan, is it more when we're talking about a threat of China or the threat of the United States and China getting into it or what have you, we're talking more about economics than military warfare, aren't we?
I think with the economics, eventually the military thing is going to become a problem too, because China realizes that in order to secure its space in the world, it's going to have muscle to back up its money.
Okay.
America didn't achieve what it has by money alone.
Agreed.
Our military plays a big part in it, and if you want to compete on our level, if you want to go there with us, if you want to be able to hold your own against the big dog, then you have to be a big dog yourself. So I think if their economy can get to where they're trying to go, then their military is going to follow.
Agreed.
So that's the two-pronged attack that the threat is. You know, it's there. The financial stuff is.
That's why I wear shades. That's exactly why I wear shades. That right there.
He's right though.
That's why I wear shades. Oh, Jesus Christ. That's my other side of my daddy's other side. You know what I mean?
Full 5-time removed.
You know what I mean? We're gonna let daddy make it, but that's cool. Go ahead. Just make your point, man.
Oh shit! Now I forgot my point.
Oh, but let me correct something I said too, because it says what it says actually is on November 6th of 2020, China successfully launched the 6G satellite.
6G?
Yeah. So, but it's not expected to hit until much later. So
they got it up.
Yeah, they got it up.
6G?
Yeah. And that was in 2020.
Boy, that PlayStation 5 outdated already.
You know?
Already. Oh my God.
They don't even play on a console anymore.
Wow.
Plug their TV in and play.
Wow. China, man. I know you have read some information up on it, man. What was your thoughts about it, brother? Los?
No, I've been given some of the things that I have. You know, like I said, for me, seems like it's, you know, we don't want them to be the economic power. I mean, for Hillary to say some shit like that, you know, I don't want my grandchildren going with a world led by China. So what? If they ain't fucking with us, then what the hell? That instead of trying to take it from them or not let them have it, why don't we work on it? Mm-hmm. Stop doing what you've done throughout history. Just take people's shit. Yeah. You know, work on your own shit. So, you know, we can work together. We can both be the same. You know, if you work that way, to me, we're friends. Mm-hmm. We ain't got no reason to send our armies against each other. Mm-hmm. You know, we're working together. We're trying to make the world better and shit. You know, and yeah, it don't make no sense. But hey, that's the way they do things.
What do you think is the reason at the end of the day why countries just can't get along?
Because we and they them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We are us and they are them.
Absolutely.
Plain and simple.
Absolutely.
And if you try to fuck with us, we're gonna want to. You know, I'm not gonna let you take my shit. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna let you take my shit just like you're not gonna let me take your shit. But we can get along. Just we don't have to do
It's
all
really the most primitive, simple thing as far as the basis of a society.
Mhm.
You're not one of us. You're them. You
Simple
know?
as that. You're not us.
Danny, call in and talk to us about that, man. That's a strong viewpoint you're taking. That's very interesting.
Yeah, now that I would be interested to talk.
I mean, that's
to
what I
hear
thought
and
when
talk
she said
about.
some shit
But
like
now,
that. So
hold on, just to go back, because Lavelle made a comment earlier, said think about who owns the majority of American debt. I think you made a miss when I said it earlier, Lavelle. When you look it up, they actually own like 3% of our debt.
I saw
So
that. You're right.
they do own more than any other country, but it's only 3%. So they don't own the majority of our debt. That's something that that's like a media talking point, or like a conservative talking point. They started throwing that term, that idea around, that we were so in debt to China, as trying to blame the Democrats for it. But that really is not an accurate estimate of what they own as far as our debt.
Good shot.
they forgot to put in that no, they only owe 3% of all the other countries that we owe to.
Right.
You know, that's only 3%, so that makes them the most. But
They have a
3%
higher
is shit.
GDP debt than they may have a higher GDP than we have, but their debt, their national debt, is exponentially higher than
Yeah.
ours,
Yeah.
which I couldn't understand. And so this guy explained it like this. He says, when you think about GDP, because I really didn't have an understanding of GDP. He says, think about GDP like this. It's the amount of revenue your country is able to develop and also export or what have you at a specific fixed amount. That's what contributes to your GDP. He said, but if you're not good, now I'm not good in economics, but he says if you're not really good in economics, think of it this way: I'm going to determine your personal wealth by taking an aggregate of your credit card expenditures. That's how you have to look at GDP. It has nothing to do with in terms of your real actual wealth or assets that you may have across the globe. So that changed things for me. So when Jonathan says, hey man, they only own X amount of the United States debt or what have you, you have to start switching your thinking like that. You know what I mean? It's not like we owe $1 trillion and they put up 900 billion of it. That's not the situation.
Right.
So yeah, absolutely, man. That's a very good point you made. Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, China is more of an economic threat right now, I think, to the United States than anything. I don't think militarily we would have to worry about them for at least maybe another 20, 30 years, if that long, just depending on how things go. But right now, their main threat, the main problem that they pose to us is economically. You know, they have the potential to become a powerhouse in the world markets because of the way that they're structuring their society right now. And that's going to be difficult for America to compete with the way we currently do business, because people here are only going to be squeezed so far,
Right.
and eventually that rubber band will snap,
Right.
and they would have to try to push us like the Chinese are going to be pushing their population,
Right.
but the Chinese population is going to go along with it.
Right.
I think I forgot who said it earlier, but someone.
Me too.
But somebody said earlier that like their soldiers are basically brainwashed, whereas
Okay.
our soldiers still have a conscience. Their soldiers are basically like going in for the kill. It's not even a question.
Right.
So it can pose an interesting threat once that money gets behind their military. Just
And we're not going in there for that too. I'm going in there just to kill a bunch of motherfuckers. That's my only thought. This is war. If you don't got this uniform on, you're dead.
Wow.
Fuck that.
Can y'all think about my concern regarding when Jonathan brought up England made a huge. Okay, that's debatable, Bird.
I
But
don't
absolutely,
agree.
I know you do. I know you agree. I know you do.
I don't agree with that being a mistake.
You don't. You don't agree with it.
No.
Really?
No. I don't, because that was fucking China's, not yours. Get the fuck on.
Talk
This
about
is my
Hong
fucking
Kong.
line, man. Yeah, this is my shit. Fuck out of here and shit, This ain't yours.
My concern with the surveillance, the intensity of the surveillance in China. Man, can you imagine the degree of compliance your society has, and their ability to identify and determine their sense of nationalism, on an individual and collective scale. Because here we allegedly, and I say that in quotes, we allegedly have the freedom of speech, and which entails freedom of thought and that kind of stuff. But in China, if they can just use a surveillance system to curb your behavior, I can only imagine how that is affecting the psyche of each and every Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like your behavior is going to be this is a psychology debate, but it doesn't matter. Your sometimes the way you think affects your behavior.
Right.
Sometimes your behavior can reroute the way you think.
Right.
It just depends. But what we're not arguing about is there is a relationship. I really, really wonder, like, are we going to see more of a schism between the Chinese culture and government and America, or less, because we're tied at the hip economically? But if we try to have a conversation with each other, we now have two different forms of access to whatever the truth is. We have two different axes that we're working on regarding our opinions of things. So I think that's the next weapon, man. I really do. The access and manipulation of information. I really do.
It does. It makes you wonder, because you got to think about it. Human nature being social creatures to begin with, and you grow up in a society. From the time you're old enough to hold a conversation with somebody, you grow up in a society that teaches you that you need to behave a certain way, that you need to act a certain way. Otherwise, you are ostracized by the community. The community is going to take repercussions. Not only that, but your neighbors are watching you. You know they're looking for you acting out or doing something out of line, because I wonder what you like as far as psychologically, how that might affect a human psyche. As far as developing in a society like that. Is it possible for you to be normal? Or does the definition of normal become something different because that is what is socially acceptable in your society?
Good question. Good question, brother. Yes, sir. Good question.
Right, Danny?
We got a caller right here. All right, go ahead.
Who's that?
Yo.
Brother, what's up, man?
How y'all fellas doing out there, man?
Good, man. Good. How about yourself?
Just at work at this plantation, but I'm watching y'all while I'm doing it.
We so appreciate you, homie.
You missed a couple of dishes over there.
I was, Ron, cuz you was asking me to speak about Hillary.
Yes.
And only reason I say that is because of some of the statements she made in the running. And one thing that our great grandmother always told, that you gotta watch what people do and what they actually watch what they do, but then what they say. If it don't line up together, something's wrong. I think back about the 90s when they implemented the 3-strike rule. They, a lot of things was targeted towards everybody that wasn't her kind, her race, her color, her creed. And then for her to sit up there and say, I don't want my children to to grow up in a world dominated by China.
Hey, cousin, if you can hear me, I'm sorry to interrupt you, brother. If you can hear me, we're getting a lot of feedback.
I mean, if they better at doing whatever they better at doing.
Hey, brother.
It is just what it is.
Hey, brother.
If they smarter than us, it is what it is.
I think that's Danny.
That's Danny.
They graduate
Oh, Danny.
into technology faster than we do. It is what it is.
For real.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah.
Hey, do me a favor. Whatever you're listening to in the background, can you?
Oh,
Yeah.
it down,
Can you turn that all the way down, because it's echoing in the phone and it's making it hard to hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I just did that. I heard the feedback.
Bet.
I turned you all the way down.
All right.
Thank you,
All
brother.
right.
That's why I say that. When she said, black males are super predators and things like that, that just made me start looking. And then she said, I don't want my children to grow up in a world dominated by China. Well, what are you saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can look at it as, she's just talking, or you can look at it, it's two sides to that coin.
But that's one.
But to me,
that's one of the things
I'm
about
like,
the Clintons period. People, when Bill Clinton was in office, black people damn near adopted him for some reason. But when you look back at the history of Bill and Hillary, both of them were known for saying for making racist comments and even voting on racist biased bills. I'll say at least. So they weren't really for us, and Hillary never gave a damn about us for sure. That's why she couldn't run an election, because I mean, you lost to Trump. How horrible can you be?
Oh yeah, you lose to Trump, you got to be real fucked up.
Right.
Right.
You lose to that dude, you got to be real fucked up.
America chose Trump rather than have Hillary Clinton.
Well, I would have too.
And I can't even argue with it.
I mean, just thinking back on, like I said, in the 90s when they were in office, the things that they implemented, and what they implemented was things against the minority.
Yeah.
And at that time, African Americans were the minority. They targeted certain things. They put it in place for unlawful imprisonment, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, damn. And then for her to come out and say that, I truly believe she is.
Me too.
You know, and she could tell me, oh no, I have a few black friends or this and that, or invite me over to her dinner table, but that still ain't gonna change. Put a microphone in there when she don't put a microphone in the motherfucker's house when they don't know that it's there, and listen to their conversation.
Right.
You can tell right then and there.
Yeah.
But sometimes people are so smart that they stupid. They wind up saying the most dumbest shit that are harmful. Like when she said black males are super predators. She just actually shit, as my grandmother would say, shit and fell back in it.
Oh Lord, yeah.
That's fucked up.
And that fucked her all the way up. Because now every black woman is looking at her son like, damn, you think my boy is a super predator? Now every black woman is looking at, every black girl is looking at her father like, damn, you think my daddy or my brothers are super predators? What the fuck?
That is the subliminal message, Sam.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a horrible message. Now every single white little girl and white little boy are thinking, oh my God, every time a black guy comes around, he's a super predator. He's going to try to rape me. He's going to try to do whatever a predator does.
That's the plan.
Kill me. Come on, man. I'm glad excuse my language, but I'm glad the fucking bitch didn't get fucking elected. Because she would have made it 10 times harder for black men anyway.
I agree with that.
We already got it hard enough.
Yeah, and the difference between her and Trump is that she'd have done it sneakily, where the media would have been like, oh, this is good for you. This is good for you.
Right, exactly. Exactly. They would have tried to blow smoke up your ass.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I'm saying? Or try to hold banana in the tailpipe trick.
Right.
Banana in the tailpipe.
Thanks for calling in, man. No, we gotta be cutting it off here shortly.
Thank you, cousin.
No problem, man. I know y'all brothers got to get out of here. I got to get back to this machine and do what I'm doing.
Thank you, cousin.
You missed them three plants back there.
We time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank y'all, man. Y'all keep doing this shit.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
you, man. One love.
Man, with the surveillance level in China, something happened that I had to actually call a friend of mine that I went to grad school with in England because her father at the time was a high-ranking member in the Chinese cabinet. So when we met and I saw, I was like, you are Chinese. You know what I mean? Like every kind of stereotype you would have in your mind of what a Chinese woman would be and how they would think and behave.
Yeah.
Like she was Chinese. Of course, she hung out with the brothers and the Brits for about a year. But you know,
Right.
You know what I mean? we brought her around. But
Right.
you know, but when she first got there, like she was Chinese. So I had to ask her, was the information I came across true? And the information was about maybe 3 months ago. There was footage from a news agency out of India showing explosions throughout various parts of China. It was about 10 explosions.
Mm-hmm.
And when I looked at it, I said, oh my God, I think China may have a terrorist problem. because the way that the bombs went off, the number of people that was killed, you can see the footage and the timing of each one. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Now, I'm not going to say the footage was fake. I'm not going to say it was real. That's just what I was exposed to. Had nothing to do with Western influence, okay?
Right.
So I asked her, and she said, Ron, I have family that live in 2 of the cities that they're talking about. There's been no mention of it. They haven't experienced it. They haven't heard anything. They haven't seen anything. And that's more or less confounded for me, the ability to discern or decipher what is right, what is wrong. Did this happen? Did this not happen? So you're seeing an assault on the formation of your reality, you know? And China, yes, like I said, they have a heavily surveillance state. And maybe it did get out and was true. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it was falsified. I don't know.
Right.
But that's just how hard it is now to make a solid determination in terms of world affairs, man. Right. It really is difficult.
Just like with the Ukrainian conflict, how they was like, oh, Putin's gonna manufacture a false flag event to get everything started.
Right.
And even though, of course, as far as I know, nothing like that ever really came about. But I mean, the reality of it is it would be very easy to do. You could do. I mean, there's technology now to where you could even fake the whole thing, and it would look just as real as the real thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, just from footage and special effects.
Yeah.
You know, maybe go out in a random city somewhere and blow up a few buildings, you know, that nobody was in anyway.
Right.
And hey, you got a whole scene.
Right.
Wow.
Let's wrap this up, fellas.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, shit, man. Guess we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate y'all for being here, man. Don't forget to go to the website where you can get to all of the Daily Smoke social medias. And you can also go down to the bottom where you see Stand for the Silent. Y'all make sure y'all go to that website and check it out, man. It's very important, man. It's fighting and bringing awareness to bullying and to help stop kids from committing suicide because of it. So y'all please go and check it out. Hopefully something you read will move you to donate. You know what I'm saying? But please go check it out. It's on the website, or you can go directly to their website, which is standforthesilent.org. All right? It's up on the screen, so y'all check that out, man. We appreciate y'all. Don't forget to check out the Thursday session coming up, the smoke sessions, and we appreciate y'all, man, for watching Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, y'all. And don't forget, see what's coming up when y'all check out what we put out on Fridays. All right. Anybody got anything to say?
Yeah, man. One last thing. We got 10 people here still with us. One last thing. Tomorrow's Mom's birthday.
Man.
I want to send a shout out to my beloved mother. Happy birthday, dear heart.
Yes, happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday to you.
Love
happy
you.
birthday to you.
Most definitely.
Happy birthday to you.
Most definitely.
Happy birthday, Mama Joyce.
Thank
Come
you
on the
so
show.
much. Absolutely. Oh, Lord. No.
Just because you don't weed turn don't mean I don't have to.
No.
That would be interesting.
You might cause her to backslide.
we all get our moms to come on.
Right.
Oh, no.
Not mine. On Monday, y'all, we have a show. We have a very special show on Monday and Wednesday of next week. On Monday, we're going to talk about suicide. And on Wednesday, we're going to talk about the survivors of suicide. And on Monday, I believe we have another special guest that's going to be with her. It is Tamika. She's going to be with us as well. She's offered and volunteered to come in. So please come and join us on Monday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. I think that's a particular episode. If you haven't experienced it, you will. If you have experienced it, it's your opportunity to call in and talk with us about your experiences and what have you. Right. And if you haven't experienced it, it's a really good time to tune in and listen to deal with, so that you can deal with when this situation knocks at your doorstep. You'll answer the door appropriately. Right. So we really hope you tune in on Monday and listen to what we have to say regarding this. And please call in as well, 281-858-3107. So that's all I have, brothers.
Most definitely. All right, so I'm your boy Big Ruck.
Brother Los.
Yeah.
Brother Jam.
Your boy Bishop.
We are the Daily Smoke, and we are out.
Peace.
Peace.
We